President Ali formed an emergency task force to deal with the exceptionally severe seasonal rains. The police amendment legislation was drafted in the National Assembly today. The new bill could change the future of policing in Guyana. Monetary dispute in Northwest District ends with one dead and police on the hunt for another. In the region, tornadoes through several U.S. states with more than 63 dead, and internationally, UK teenage crime, highest number of murders in more than 10 years. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. The Police Amendment Bill 2021 was introduced in the National Assembly today. The bill is intended to alleviate tension between the Guyana Police Force and members of the general public. The bill's sponsor, Minister of Home Affairs Robertson Ben, indicated that the amendment is meant to empower police to employ less lethal force whenever they encounter civilians. Less lethal weapons include nightsticks, chemical irritants, conducted electrical weapons, kinetic projectiles, and water cannons. The amendment to the bill also sees the removal of Section 25 of the principal bill. This section sought to make provision for the use of DNA information for identification. The amendment to the Police Act was supported by Government Member of Parliament Sanjeev Datidin and several opposition members of Parliament. One man is now dead and another is on the run after an argument over money turned into a scuffle at Turtle Creek 5-Star Northwest District on Friday, December 21st. Dead is 38-year-old Victor Pedro, a gold miner resident of Letem Rupununi. Investigations revealed that the location is outdoor at a campground owned by the deceased. The camps are the kitchen, workers' camp, and the camp for the cooks. According to the deceased 13-year-old daughter, around 7 p.m., she was cooking in their kitchen when the female cook and her father became engaged in an argument over monies that he owed her. The cook's husband subsequently became involved in the argument. Pedro brandished a sharp instrument and slashed the man twice about his body, slamming his music box out of his grip, sparking a scuffle. The deceased daughter further claimed that she ran away, but within minutes returned when she saw her father with a gasping wound to the middle of his head and another to his left side face. The suspect and the female cook then made good their escape. The deceased confided to his daughter that the suspect inflicted the wound on him before he succumbed. On arrival, police ranks examined the motionless body and saw 2 deep wounds to the head and the left side face. The body was transported to the Port Kaituma District Hospital and officially pronounced dead. The body is presently at the hospital's mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. The suspect has not yet been arrested. However, investigations are ongoing. A construction worker lost his life after he fell from a scaffold on 3rd Street, Montrose, on the east coast of Demerara on December 11, 2021. That is 23-year-old Norman Abrahams of Beefield, Sophia, Georgetown. Abrahams was employed by Christopher Menez of 3rd Street, Montrose, East Coast, Demerara. Inquiries revealed that the man was on a scaffold along with another worker, Yuansi, putting on molding on the outer part of the wooden roof of the 2-story concrete structure. The wood on the scaffold turned over, causing both men and the wood to fall. Yuansi subsequently landed under the scaffold. However, Abrahams landed in the neighbor's yard on his back. He was picked up from a pool of blood with injuries to the head and rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital complex by his employer and colleagues. He was pronounced dead on arrival. The deceased body is presently lying at the GPHC mortuary awaiting post-mortem examination. Stick around after the break. President Ali formed an emergency task force to deal with the exceptionally severe seasonal rains, and police are investigating an alleged murder-suicide at Martisville.
Shop at John Lewis Styles in December and you could win one Amazon Fire tablet every day. Yes, every day. And that's not all. 4 persons will win $500,000 to spend in the store. Just imagine, $500,000 to spend on clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage and accessories. So shop now at John Lewis Styles to win one Amazon tablet every day and $500,000 to spend in the store. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fractured my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Taxi service, transportation for every occasion, short drop, airport, weddings, funerals, and much more. We're located at Lot H. Durbin and Vicingen Road, next to Green City Bar. For honest, efficient, and reliable service, call Kingdom Based Taxi Service at 648-5959 or 227-7937. You can count on us.
Welcome back. Over the weekend, President Irfaan Ali requested a cabinet task force to be activated to proactively address the ongoing rainy season and potential flood response countrywide. The first flood response task force meeting was held yesterday at the Civil Defense Commission headquarters. The task force is headed by Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips, who indicated the importance of such a task force and the need to consistently operate proactively and efficiently. Major Salim October, Preparedness and Response Manager of CDC, said the CDC has received reports of flooding across 46 communities nationwide, with a total of 5,885 households affected. Region 1 to 6 bear the bulk of the reports, with Region 1 to 4 experiencing the most impact thus far. Livestock, domestic animals, and farmlands are in distress, and damage have been conveyed. Gavin Cummins, Chief Hydrometeorological Officer, updated the task force on the above normal levels of rainfall expected across Guyana, especially along the coast. He stated Region 9 can also expect an unseasonally large amount of rainfall over the next few days. Persons are encouraged to use all available means of contact to report impacts and weather patterns in their area, with the primary point of contact being their local authorities or the 24-hour National Emergency Monitoring System on 600-7500. The task force includes the Minister of Agriculture, The Minister of Local Government, Minister of Housing and Water, the Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, the National Security Advisor, and CDC's Director General, and the Chairman of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. The task force will meet again soon to provide any additional updates and courses of action. The police are investigating an alleged murder-suicide at Martyrsville, Monrepo, on the east coast of the Marara on Friday, December 10, 2021. They had our 48-year-old Nalini Wahid, a domestic worker, and 50-year-old Balaram Hiralal, a clothes vendor. Inquiries disclosed that the two lived together and had domestic issues. Balaram was before the court for assaulting and threatening the deceased. On the day of the incident, the couple went to court and later returned home. The suspect left home to ply his trade. He later called Nalini and told her that he hit a horse and she must come to see him at Triumph Public Road, but she refused. Around 8 p.m., the man arrived home and complained of pains in his chest and requested to go to the doctor. He wanted to go in his car, but Nalini insisted on taking a taxi, and an argument ensued between the two. Nalini was heard shouting for help. A neighbor jumped the fence and saw Balaram choking her and telling her to die. She became motionless and he drank a suspected poison substance and lay next to her. When police arrived, they observed no marks of violence to Nalini's most exposed parts, but a reddish substance was seen in her mouth, while froth was seen in Balaram's mouth. The duo was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where Nalini was pronounced dead on arrival. Balaram subsequently died. The bodies are at the Jerick's funeral home awaiting a post-mortem examination as investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. Tornadoes through several U.S. states with more than 60 fewer dead. And UK teenage crime, highest number of murders in more than 10 years. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Brazil's Manaus Stadium is in the middle of the Amazon and it can only be reached by air or river. The stadium took 4 years to build and the local government is still paying back the $160 million construction loan to the federal government with little return to show for the investment, Al Jazeera's Bernard Smith reports.
Even in football-mad Brazil, it was always going to be a challenge to make full use of a 40,000 capacity stadium built in a jungle city that can only be reached by air or river. 4 games were played here in the 2014 World Cup. The local government is still paying back the $160 million construction loan to the federal government, with little return to show for the investment.
The legacy is very small. Public transport works haven't started. Public security hasn't improved. Hospitals have not been expanded or renovated. In several areas, including tourism, there's been no progress. It's frustrating for the population.
Now the Amazonas Arena hosts Manaus FC in Brazil's 3rd division, though it's hosted some concerts and a qualifier for the Qatar World Cup.
For most of its games, Manaus FC doesn't even come close to filling the stadium, even for a big match like this. This is a quarter-final cup game. And gate receipts don't even come close to covering the running costs.
It costs around $73,000 a month to operate the stadium, according to the management. This month, they'll take in half that.
It is important to think about how to pay for the stadium from the beginning, so that it's not unfeasible for the government, and to encourage football schools and the growth of local sports, because the objective of a World Cup is to bring visibility to the local sport.
To cope with the heat and humidity of a city not far from the equator, the stadium was designed to be as airy as possible. And it's an impressive piece of architecture. But there's little danger of fans overheating in here, even when their local team managed to salvage a draw in this game. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Manaus.
The search for survivors continues in 6 U.S. states that were struck by tornadoes late on Friday night, but the chances of finding anyone alive diminishes by the hour. It is feared that more than 60 people were killed, Al Jazeera's Heidi Zucastro reports.
This is what the Mayfield candle factory looked like before the storm. This is what it looks like now.
I saw on site a backpack that was left behind and a pair of shoes. And it represents the tragedy that this tornado has wreaked on this area of Kentucky. We learned of a telephone that was recovered, a cell phone that recorded 27 missed messages. We've lost fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, and others.
Teams from Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, are now on the scene, but the likelihood of finding more survivors diminishes by the hour.
Friday's tornado destroyed everything it touched in Mayfield. This used to be the historic town center. Now it is leveled. That was once a doctor's office. Back there, churches, now nothing but rubble. This trailer was picked up in the sky and dropped here like a toy, and people's personal belongings from their homes, their photographs of their family members, now litter the streets.
David Hargrove digs through what remains of his law office. Volunteers are helping him recover client files. He didn't expect to also find this.
I've had this desk since my daughter's been born, and things they draw for you, and I had it under a glass, and that's the. I found most of that.
There's still no power or running water, but the recovery work is in full swing. 10,000 people call this town home.
I can't even tell what's what right now because it's all piled up. It's like a war zone that happened here, and it's unreal. Words can't describe what I feel right now of my hometown.
The loss of life here is the greatest shock, knowing some of the ruined homes belong to the factory workers who will never return. Hearts are heavy as the cleanup continues. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera, Mayfield, Kentucky.
And internationally, youths armed with knives are being blamed for causing the murder rate for British teenagers to soar to its highest level in more than a decade. Al Jazeera's Nuvia Barker reports.
Farron Paul puts on his stab vest ahead of another night ridding the British capital of weapons. This is what he's collected in the past 2 weeks. All the blades are illegal to carry, but easy to get hold of online.
We're talking about bone, tissue, nerve damage.
Farron's gained a big following on social media, where teens eager to get rid of their weapons, no questions asked, seek help.
Man's got something I don't want, you get me?
A 17-year-old boy's reached out on Instagram, wanting to hand over a blade. Farron operates in a legal grey zone, not condoned by the police, nor actively discouraged. He knows more than most about what knives can do.
So I was stabbed on 2 different occasions, 9 times each occasion. So to me, how can I say, knife crime's personal.
We meet the 17-year-old who's noticeably relieved to be handing over his knife to someone he feels he can trust.
Yeah, brother, give me that, yeah? And brother, listen, I'm going to take care of this. It's going to get disposed of properly.
For me, it was never really a gang thing. It's more personal beef. It's more like little situations with other groups or other people, and they're willing to prove themselves. You don't want to die, innit? Like, really and truly, you don't want to die.
So the teenager who just handed over his knife said something very powerful to us. He said that there are 2 types of Londoners. There are civilians, like me, and there are young people like him who live in a constant state of war simply because of where they live, and more often than not, the colour of their skin. Police say children as young as 10 are carrying a deadly arsenal of weapons. The violence fueled by a toxic mix of poverty and online rivalries. And this year, the number of child victims is at its highest since 2008. The year 16-year-old Ben Kinsella was stabbed to death on a London street by a group of teenagers. His family has kept his memory alive through this education centre.
I wished more could be done to stop the situation, to stop these young kids getting involved in knife crime. Successive governments have tried to come up with a quick fix, but they don't work. There needs to be a long-term plan in place, a 5 or 10-year programme to sort of start and educate people, but keep it going.
The police have responded with a series of surge operations, but the numbers quickly rebound. Several of Britain's police forces admit they're fighting an uphill battle.
We've seen a decade of austerity and cuts to policing, to youth services, to education, and a chronic underinvestment in mental health services, children's services and drug treatment, and that's what's really resulting in the spike. However, we are making really meaningful efforts to rebuild community policing so that we can proactively prevent crime in our communities.
So we're not just simply talking about flick knives or short knives. I mean, that is a sword. Yeah. We meet up with Farron's friend Elijah, who's been collecting knives in a different part of the city. It's an unnerving haul of huge blades.
I would say it's almost like a fashion.
And this is where the weapons end up, handed over a police station counter. This is a fraction of what's confiscated every month. Farron and Elijah say they've barely scratched the surface.
A serious bit of hardware, isn't it?
Neve Barker, Al Jazeera, London.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. is it for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.